thought I saw a spark in your eyes, desperately and far away, conquered all my needs. I poured all the way aside.
Namaste. If this is your first video watching of us, my name is Cody, this is my wife Sarah. Right now we are standing right underneath the Empire State Building because today in this video we're going to talk about a concept, but it's also a book of the 5 love languages. And so we're heading over to a bookstore that neither one of us have been to yet that we've been wanting to visit, and that is the Amazon bookstore. But first, look at the Empire State Building.
Can't hold on, make it overfly. It's the second round through a long divide.
The very first book that we saw is a book called Futura, and it's all about the Futura font, which is actually like one of my top 3 favorite fonts. It's actually the font of the fake logo. We modified it a little bit, but it's Futura. So the thing with the Amazon bookstore is that if you come in here to purchase a book, the price is like the same as any other bookstore, unless you are a Prime member, and then you get the Amazon Prime price that you get online.
Here we are, where fire meets the cold. I'll let you leave, but please come back, 'cause I'll miss you most of all. Behold.
Okay, so let's actually get into what are the 5 love languages. The whole thing is basically based around the concept that each one of us has a love tank, and that as we are in not just romantic relationships, the book is definitely written about romantic relationships, and that's kind of the concept around it, but it definitely applies to all forms of relationship.
You should apply it to just relationships, not just romantic.
So the concept of you have a love tank is that we know that we love each other, but you can't just say I love you the one time and be like, you may kiss the bride, kiss I love you, and then die. Like, you can't just like live your whole life just with that one I love you. You have to continually fill that tank and let that other person know, like, hey, I love you and I'm gonna do this for you so that you feel loved. And that tank that you have is
it depletes, and then you have to fill it back up. Like, one gesture, whatever, doesn't sustain you forever.
So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, receiving gifts, and quality time. So it's basically figuring out what your love language is. And so with words of affirmation, it is that somebody actually saying like, hey, I noticed that you did something different with your hair. I think that looks really good. Like, that lights you up inside and you're like, wow, they noticed me. They gave me a word of affirmation. What is a acts of service?
Acts of service would be like, if we're talking like a romantic relationship or something, like if your husband takes out the trash for you or does the laundry for you or something like that. Something that they know you will notice and appreciate. Just acts of service. It's very, I think, self-explanatory, just like...
Yeah. And physical touch is kind of another self-explanatory one. But it's not just sexual touch. Sexual touch is definitely part of it, but...
Right, it's like a hand on the arm or holding hands or like just a nice little, you know, like...
An example in the book talks about, you know, if you have like, if you're at Thanksgiving or if you have like a lot of family over, like being conscious to even in their presence, you know, give like a back rub or, you know, just give them a kiss on the forehead or something like that. And basically it lets that person know, hey, even though all of this stuff is happening around us, I still see you.
Right.
And that person, because they receive love through physical touch, that fills their love tank. The next one is receiving gifts.
So receiving gifts would be literally receiving gifts. It doesn't, I think it kind of depends per person on what that means. So like, it could be some huge gesture, but it could be something as small as like, hey, I bought you a Coke, like, or a candy bar, or whatever your favorite tiny little indulgence is. Like, it doesn't have to be anything major, although it can be.
The last one is quality time. And so quality time is choosing to sacrifice your own time or choosing to want to spend time with that other person.
It's not quantity time, it's quality. Although spending a lot of time with a person is, I think,
Part of that.
Yeah. But it's, you know, spending the time in the way that they love spending the time. You know, if they really love going to movies with you, then like spend quality time going to the movies, or, you know, something like that.
All of these 5 love languages, you can basically, I think there's actually a quiz you can take on like 5lovelanguages.com. Basically, you can take the quiz and you ask questions, it asks you questions, you answer them, and it pops out like what is your top like few love languages and how you receive love. So for me, my top 2 are, number 1 is physical touch, and number 2 is quality time. Like for me with Sarah, obviously there's like the sexual touch part of it, but then there's just like the regular, like every day, you know, just giving me a hug or grabbing my hand when we're walking down the street or anything like that. Like that makes me feel like she loves me more than other things like receiving gifts. If she gives me a gift,
he could care less, which is really irritating because I love buying gifts for people. That's like one of the ways I show love is buying gifts, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah, like that doesn't. And then one of the ways that I show love is by acts of service. I think like giving people, like doing something for somebody. But Sarah,
right, like
could care less.
He cleans the apartment on a regular basis, and I just don't even care.
What are your love languages?
So my top 2 are receiving gifts and quality time. So for receiving gifts, it's not so much like big grand gestures, although I do appreciate those too, and like gifts at like birthdays and Christmas and stuff like that. I love like that side of things, but it's mostly like the small, insignificant or seemingly insignificant things. I think like buying my favorite candy bar, or just like if somebody sees something and they thought of me and buying it and sending it to me or something, like that's huge. Or truthfully, you don't even have to buy it and send it to me. If you just take a picture and text it to me.
Hey, this made me think of you.
It's kind of the same. It's like the same effect. And then obviously quality time. So just like what Cody said, just like real good hang time, deep conversation with like my friends is something that I highly value.
We're not really going to go into this because Sarah's actually going to do a whole series about the Enneagram personality type soon. But on the Enneagram personality types, we are literally the most contentious pairing type that you could have in a relationship.
The description literally says one of the most creative, but also one of the most volatile. If you let it be.
Right.
You have to be very intentional. That's all that means.
And so the reason I mention that is because my number 1 way of receiving love is through physical touch, and Sarah's number 1 way of receiving love is through gifts. My least way of giving love is gifts. And Sarah's least of giving love is
physical touch. I mean, I love like a good hug or whatever, but it just does not mean anything. Like it doesn't
make you feel like
convey anything for me. It's just like, I mean, I hug people because I know other people want to be hugged and that they love it, but I mean, it just doesn't make me feel loved.
Yeah, whereas like a good hug to me like just warms my soul.
Yeah.
Like it just makes me feel so good. So in your relationships, romantic and otherwise, they all have a love tank, a personal love tank for you. And the 5 love languages has been something we've known about our whole lives, and it's kind of been this thing that is almost like common knowledge in our friend group and kind of the groups that we have grown up in. But we realize that it's not really widespread, like not everybody knows about it.
But
and I think it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah, it can be game changing in relationships. Not just like so you can know how to show other people love, but so that they know how to show you love too. Because I mean, it's important for you to feel like loved and accepted and healthy and all of that, just as much as it is for you to make other people feel that way.
Yeah, because the secret to literally almost everything is self-awareness.
Oh yeah.
If you become self-aware in these areas of your life, it leads to having a more fulfilling and joyful life.
Because you're balanced,
right?
I think. Like you're, or at least as balanced as any of us can get, you know.
Yeah. The 5 Love Languages is a really powerful thing. I encourage you to check out the book, check out the website, figure out what your love languages are, talk to your friends and family about it, and Get those love tanks filled up, guys.
Yes.
How's your love tank doing?
It's fine.
I need to go get Sarah a gift. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. We are going to go see the best rated movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes, Paddington 2. But that's going to be it for this video. If that was useful to you, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not. We make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel. Sarah makes videos over on her channel about books and reading. New books every Tuesday and most Thursdays. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll love you later.